So my name's Steve, and I'm going to give you a very brief introduction to the Lainox Sapien and the control panels. So here you see we have 3 modes of cooking, and you'll use different things for different processes. The first mode of cooking here is our convection mode. This is really very much like your fan assisted oven. Here you can see I can adjust the temperature all the way up to 300 degrees centigrade and all the way down to my lowest temperature, which is 30 degrees there, okay? Also here we have what we call the auto cleaner. In convection mode, you'll see some of the settings that we're going to use for cooking the food. We use auto cleaner in convection mode to remove any excess steaming that we want. So here at 99, that's going to leave all the residual steam from the product in the oven. But that's not going to give us some great results for things like roast potatoes. We want to get rid of a lot of that steam. So if I go to auto cleaner, I can turn this all the way down to 0. Normally I stick it around 20%, and that's going to get that steam out of there and let things crisp up. So when cooking in any of the 3 modes, I can cook in 2 ways. One by choosing the time of cooking, or another by selecting the probe and the core temperature of the product. If I press my time button, you'll see here it's on infinite mode. That's going to keep the oven running at the set temperature until I interrupt it. If I turn 1 to the left here, it's going to go to preheat mode. So do that and lock that in. If I close the oven now, it's going to start preheating the oven. This is very important in terms of especially when doing some of my crispy products. If I load into a cold oven, it's going to really drop the temperature of the oven. So it's nice to preheat, get the oven nice and hot, so when I load in, it's going to shorten my cooking time. If I want to know the actual temperature of the oven, if I press and hold this button here, and you can see, we generally preheat at about 1 degree a second, so it's very quick. So even to get up to these very high temperatures, normally takes less than 4 minutes, so don't leave it running on that infinite mode. If I press this button again, I can select now my cooking time. So I'm going to lock in 5 minutes there, lock that in. That will then run, and at the end of the 5 minutes, give me an alarm. As I mentioned before, another way of cooking is probe core temperature cooking, and I'm going to demonstrate this in this tutorial when I do the baked potatoes. And if I select this, I can select my core temperature. So here I'm going to select to 85 degrees. The advantage of this is I don't need to know what time I'm going to spend cooking. This will make sure it will monitor the center of the product, and it will tell me when the product is cooked to that temperature. Lock that in, and if I open the door here, just going to let the steam escape. You see my core temperature probe here. I load that into the product, put it in, let it go away, and I don't need to monitor the product. It'll tell me exactly when it's cooked. The center of my 3 processes is my steaming mode. If I press this, it will automatically go to 100 degrees centigrade. This is our perfect steaming environment. It's switched on to infinite here. As I explained before on convection, I can put it into preheat, or I can set my time and lock that in. In steaming mode, I don't have to leave it at 100. I can use other temperatures. Now, for most of what you're going to do, you're going to leave it at 100. But often when I'm braising, I might choose to go up to 110 degrees. This will give me slightly faster braising. And what that does, that introduces a slight amount of dry heat into the Sapien, will also slightly reduce the sauce. But predominantly, I'm going to sit around the 100, and that's my perfect steaming temperature. The third of my cooking modes is our combi mode. This combines the great temperature of our convection, which can go up to 300 degrees centigrade, with the efficiency of steam. Steam is a much more efficient way to cook, but often when we use it, we don't get those nice colors on our food. So by using a combination mode, which in some of the things I'm going to show you today, you're going to see, here again we can go in our temperature from 30 degrees centigrade all the way up to 300 degrees centigrade. We can also, with our auto cleaner, set the humidity. The difference between using it on this mode and this mode, when I'm using it on convection mode, my auto cleaner can only remove excess humidity. It won't add. On this mode, it will add or remove as the environment requires. So I've got perfect control of my cooking chamber. So if I want to set, I'm going to do a cake later at 60% humidity. So if I set that there, that will control my environment here perfectly to 60%. So as initially the moisture comes off the cake, it's going to take that away. But then as the cake starts to dry, it's going to add more humidity to ensure we get a nice even bake, and you'll see that later in our cooking. Again, I can cook by time or by core probe. One setting that we will touch on when we do some of the products is my fan speed here. If I press this, I can raise or lower my fan speed. This is important when doing things like toast or meringues or some of the light spinach is a prime example. The fans are very efficient and blow at quite a high level to keep even cooking throughout the chamber. But sometimes it can be a bit too efficient and can move our product around. So here I've selected a medium fan speed. I can select that there to raise that up. Most of my cooking I do around here, but sometimes for more delicate products, I'll reduce that. At the end of the day, I want to clean my Lainox Sapien, and we have a great automatic cleaning function. If I press my menu button here and go down to washing, if I press this button now, it'll bring me up the options that are available to me. We have here fast, soft, clean. Fast and soft clean are perfect for the school environments. If I've been steaming all day, my oven isn't particularly dirty, a fast clean is a great way in 11 minutes to clean that oven. Soft clean, if I've been doing a little bit of baking, a little bit of frying, a soft clean again is perfect. If I scroll down these, I've got an eco. If I'm cleaning less frequency, these are the settings I'm going to go to, especially if I've done roasting meats, things like this. This is going to really give us a shiny, clean environment. Grill here is when we've been doing an aggressive cooking process, often with roast meats or high fat content meats, where we really have got quite a dirty oven. We want to get this cleaning. A great unique feature about the Lainox Sapien is the cleaning function and where the chemicals are stored. So here we store the chemicals in the unit itself, and they're stored at the bottom of the unit. Here you will see this is our cleaning chemical. Onto the left is our cal out. The Lainox Sapien will inform you when you need to change your chemical when it's running low, and I'm going to show you now. You'll see here I have my cleaning chemical and my cal out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this forward, and you see the whole cartridge can come out. I'm going to move this even more forward, and I'm going to undo that. You will notice I am wearing gloves, which is very important. And I'm just going to remove this and pull this out. I'll remove, we've got quite a bit of chemical in here, so I'm not going to take this all the way full out. But here we've got our replacement cartridge. What's quite useful to do is once I've taken the lid off this, I store it here, which means now when I remove this, I've got a spare lid to place on there because there will be some residue left in. I can now remove this completely out the way. And that is a recyclable container. Once I put the new container in, I put my tube back in, secure reasonably tightly the lid, push it back into place and close. And exactly the same for the cal out.